Did you notice anything about it?
He was dressed as a pilgrim. And he had a John Carter mask on.
Someone's out for revenge, and they're turning it into a sick holiday game.
Our names are at the table. These seats are for us.
Thanksgiving, rated R.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this.
And Kevin, what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving? Are you thankful for this movie, or are you thankful for another?
Right now, I guess I'm pretty thankful for this movie.
I would say I'm pretty thankful for this movie too. That's right, everybody. We're doing last year's Eli Roth's Thanksgiving movie that was teased many, many years ago in the Grindhouse movie with a much different trailer, but most things remain the same from it. We're not going to play that. We don't want to get hit because it's very likely we would get hit on that. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and then we're going to judge this movie, and we're going to judge you all as well. As I'm going to also judge Kevin. He's going to judge me, and that's what we're going to be thankful for as we judge Eli Roth's Thanksgiving.
No?
Underneath the trampoline, maybe?
No? No? Nothing
Yeah.
here.
Well,
Oh. Maybe. Oh.
yeah, maybe one of our viewers will chime in out there. Hey, make sure you hit the like button out there on the way, and make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you can stay tuned to all of our video content. Now, Kevin, what's your first impression of this movie? This is both our first time watch with this. What did you think?
Really taken back. So I had two previous experiences with this movie. Seeing it on the shelves at Walmart and seeing a lot of stock for it, and I was kind of like, huh, interesting. Eli Roth, like, always really kind of skittish when I see his name attached to movies, so I always just walk
Same.
right past it. Like Eli Roth presents can be a really good thing.
Yeah.
An Eli Roth film can be a whole other animal, very different animal. It could be good or bad.
Yep, that's a whole can of worms
um,
in and of itself.
Yeah, a movie that features Eli Roth is usually pretty good because I've not seen him in a bad picture before.
Yeah.
So like I was really kind of curious about this when it came time to actually watching it, especially when you were super curious about what my opinion was watching it, and you said that you'd found a bad for it. And I agree with your bad, and I see where there could have been a resolution for it. In one part of the movie, they could have resolved that bad, but I don't know if it would have been good. And that's skipping ahead, but we'll get to that in the judgment.
That's true. I mean, spoiler alert on the judgment level. I did not hate this movie. There's a couple things I have issues with, but for the most part, I really do like this movie. And I can't say that about most Eli Roth films, because for the most part, he's relatively missed for me as a director. And this one's actually a hit with me. So that's where I come from, that perspective. I love him as a historian. I love hearing him on podcasts all over the spectrum of horror. And he's a good dude. I got no problem with him. Just as a director, he's not always my kind of guy for directing a film. But this one works for him.
Well, let's rephrase that, because I think we're saying that wrong. I think he directs great pictures. The movies that he has directed have been misses for us. Like Hostel 1 and 2 are complete misses for us.
I am not into torture porn movies like that.
Yeah, they're the reason why I haven't gone to see Terrifier yet. Like,
and I don't think Terrifier is torture porn.
Well, okay. Like I hear it, like it's so gross, and that's how they pimped out Hostel. It's the grossest shit ever. It's gross just to be gross. I learned my lesson. I didn't like it. Like 45 minutes of Hostel was great. Two guys trying to get laid in Amsterdam while trying to find shrooms at the same time. And then they meet Rick Hoffman, who you immediately hate because he's a douchebag in most movies anyway.
Pretty much.
It was so great to see in this movie. Anyway, so yeah, like those, I couldn't wait for Hostel to be over. It was cool until it wasn't. And then it just really wasn't cool at all. And then they made a sequel to it. And I was like, well, was the story not over? Was there an FBI raid, an Interpol thing that needed to go down? I don't know. But anyway, all that aside, like I was really kind of curious with this going in, and I watched it this morning, and my biggest complaint was not watching it at night. I wished my kids would sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like, so I could have watched this in the dark. My oldest daughter, Harley, probably would have really liked this. She's a big fan of Final Destination, so the intro would have been right up her alley.
Okay.
I don't know if she would have watched the rest of the film, but like
she would have loved the Black Friday craze. Gotcha.
Yeah, like she would have loved that massacre. The glare on the TV made it so bad that I had to stop for like 45 minutes and just wait for the sun to pass. It's like, son of a bitch. But I was really, really intrigued by this picture. I did not expect to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, I would say the same because I was watching this for the first time as well the other night, and I kept thinking to myself, okay, where's the shtick for Eli where this gets a little too excessive? And it doesn't really ever hit that for me. And it doesn't really get into any bit of the torture aspect until maybe like later on in the movie with the Thanksgiving scene. But, you know, I think this is a good point to throw up the good, Kevin.
The good. Throw up good? Blech.
Because this is a well thought out movie and it's well paced out. I'm going to say the writing is the strength of this movie, on top of a great cast. I like how if you pay attention close enough, you can kind of figure out who the killer is within. Like if you're a big horror fan like us or slasher movie fan, you can kind of at least whittle it down to like two people. But keen-eyed people will kind of figure this out pretty quick. It's just the fun of how long does it take the rest of the cast to figure it out. And well, I appreciate that out of this movie, and I like that.
He tells you right away who the bad guy is.
Yep.
And, like, you just disregard it. And he tells you in the same way that they tell you that Michael Myers is the bad guy in Halloween, that Jason Voorhees is the bad guy or that Pamela Voorhees is the bad guy in Friday the 13th. You get that first-person POV, and then you see the person later on. Like, okay, they're the bad guy. But yes, that first person POV, whoever is that person, that's your killer. And yeah, we got that with this. But you just disregarded it because it was so soon in the movie, and the movie just takes off running in like a holiday tradition of like rush, rush, rush. Everything is just so, hey, how are you? Here you go. Take this, blah, 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 blah. Like that's how this movie kind of starts off. Like, hey, how you doing? Take the pie, take the booze, go talk to so-and-so. It starts off at a family dinner and you feel at home with it. Like, cause really nobody's like liking talking to each other.
Right. Typical family or ordeal. So if you're going to Thanksgiving, everybody, this is a fun one to watch.
Yes. And one of the things that we talked about previously is that I thought was good is he took certain tropes from a whole bunch of, I want to say mid movies, B movies, C movies.
Yeah. He's got an affinity for those movies, so I did not have a problem with what he was doing. And they were straight homages. They were not complete ripoffs. I did not feel like that at all. Usually when I see some of these things in these movies, like homages to say like Halloween, Friday the 13th, The Burning, you know, there's certain shots, there's certain musical cues, there's certain framing of things. Sometimes I'll be like, that's stupid because they're ripping that off. I never felt that once while I was watching this movie because it felt like it was with love and care.
Yes, all of it, and it was very well thought.
Yeah.
With the exception of one thing, and we'll get into that later. This was a very well thought out movie, very well planned. I used this picture here that I used with him
This is great.
looking at his plan, because that's what I loved about this movie. It's a whodunit with a whole bunch of red herrings that all work. Like all horror films, slasher films are whodunits to a point, but they don't get you going like this movie does for as long as it takes for you to figure out who the bad guy actually is. And you're just kind of like, well, son of a yeah, I guess so. Okay, yeah, all right, sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really like the two main red herrings are like the love triangle boyfriends, and then McCarty later, who's basically the drug gun dealer for everybody. Those are basically the three that they really kind of like lean into, because in the back third of the movie, the boyfriend Ryan, well, the new boyfriend Ryan, he mysteriously vanishes until the very end of the movie, and then when he shows up, you kind of start to wonder, is he related to the actual killer, or what the hell's going on? And it ends up being a whole lot of nothing. It's not so much you think he's the killer, it's maybe he's related and he's been helping him, possibly, because you sometimes get that out of these movies. Hey, it wasn't just one person. Maybe they're going to go the Scream route. It was actually two or three of them the whole freaking time, and they didn't do that. So I appreciated the fact that they teased it enough without making you actually think, oh, we're going to get that. That's going to be kind of lame. Oh, we didn't do that. That's not lame at all.
Yeah, and that's part of that homage.
Yeah.
They hint at it and tease at it. They make you think it like you're going to go down that road, and you're like, oh, because you think you go down that road. That's familiar territory,
Right.
and familiarity is not the friend of a horror film. Like
No.
the horror film's friend is anxiety. It wants to make you feel uncomfortable. It makes you want to feel unsecure, like you don't know where you are. You don't know what your surroundings are. You don't know who's with you. That's the friend of a horror film. So Eli Roth took the tropes of mid-tier movies and did them really well. He constructed a really good mystery movie around it. Or he used all those things around a really good mystery movie, and they worked really well. He fine-tuned them, he honed them, sharpened them, and it was really fun to watch. It was really cool when the violence really started to hit. Like, you were still getting story within those beats of violence. It wasn't like a jump scare where the audience is the studio thinks the audience is stupid, so it's been 15 minutes. Give them a jump scare. Well, you've been getting fed a good story in between, so maybe give them a little bit of cranberry sauce. We'll call it that instead.
This isn't Blood Rage, everybody. Don't worry, we're not reviewing that movie.
No. But gosh, they did a good job of making a mystery movie, and yeah, they made it gross as fuck, but they made a mystery movie.
Yeah, the gore, we'll get to the gore in just a moment, because I think that's a strong part of this movie too. But to your point, like the mystery aspects of this, for those of us of a different generation who have seen these movies for years, you figure out who the killer is pretty quick, or you at least have it dialed down to at least two people, bare minimum. And what I appreciate about it is they did pace it out, and the reveal at the end was well done, because the person kept saying the devil is in the details. Like, everything matters, and that's what ends up tripping up and revealing who the killer is. Now, for anybody who's wondering if we're going to get into spoilers, you damn right we are. We're just going to wait another minute or two before we get into that. That's going to be more towards the end of the good segment, because I think that's one of the best things about this movie is the reveal of who the killer is. And who they have as that, because that's a good actor, and that was a good choice.
It was. Although I really have to say, I don't think there are any bad actors in this movie. Like, everyone was pretty spot on. I liked everyone.
At first, you have to get used to the certain acting style of some of the characters, and this isn't on the actors like at all. It's how Eli wanted them to portray the characters.
Yes.
Like the girl, Jessica. I'm sorry, I've only watched the movie once. If I had watched it a second time, I'd be a little more familiar with the characters. But Jessica, at first, you kind of feel like, oh, she's kind of the typical final girl. But as you get through the movie, she gets a little more adept and a little more confident. And I think that plays into these kids don't really know what they're dealing with, per se, and all the situations they were involved with the Black Friday massacre, the things that were being hidden, the things that were secrets, things that they're finding out, and they're using their use of like the live streams and the cell phones and getting tagged on things. Like super good detail work, but with the acting, at least, it feels like they're developing as the movie goes along. So not only is the story moving, but the characters are moving along with it. And with most horror movies, there's not that level of complexity. Usually it's you meet the characters, these are the same characters from beginning to the end of the movie. In this movie, all the characters properly adjust and evolve as the movie goes along. So you actually feel arcs for just about everybody, except for a couple people. And I believe that's done on purpose to provide for the red herrings and to show that some people just don't ever change.
Scuba, like his character goes through multiple evolutions in this movie, and you feel
His
bad
name is
for him.
Diving. My God, I just about died laughing with that.
I love the deputy. Yeah, I'd call you Scuba too.
Yeah, that's your first name. Yeah, I'd call you Scuba too.
Claude.
Claude Diving. Oh, like only in a freaking horror movie, dude.
At least it wasn't Pearl. You know.
That's
But
true.
the cast of characters, the kids reminded me a bit of the kids from Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.
Where you don't really care which one of them dies. You just want to see which one's going to die first,
And then second, and then third, and then ultimately last.
Yeah, and this movie kind of gets you going as far as who's going to be that and what's that order going to be. Which of these people is annoying enough to die first, or how badly do you want them to get that kill? Because there was 15 kills in this movie, and they were all on camera. So I mean, they
pretty much
they did a good job. It was all practical effects.
Yeah.
Really, really good job. Like this should have like a Beanie Award at the end of the year. There's so many entrails in this movie. Like the lady that fell on the table saw, her entrails fell out. That was that Scuba's girlfriend? Yeah, that's where he's like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't know what to do. And all I could do is hear Stewie in my head going, do I leave it out or pull it in? Pull it out or leave it in? Pull it out or leave it in?
Well, I appreciated the effect of the shock that was going on with him. He just kind of sat there, not knowing what to do, just holding on to her like, girl, I love you. He was literally losing somebody he loved in his arms. And I'm like, that's a little different for a horror movie where the killer is literally holding somebody hostage, throws them as a distraction and kill them, and then runs off. It's like most of these killers, they don't stop killing. There is no fleeing of them or thinking I'm going to take one hostage while I try to move out and get away. Maybe in a movie like Scream, but for most slasher movies, they don't do that. Most of these are just complete psychos, and they just keep on killing straight up.
Yeah,
You keep shooting them, you keep stabbing them, they keep coming back for more. This is not one of those movies. Well, maybe not until the end of the movie where they can't find like the remains of the killer.
That was so stupid.
That's when I'm like, you lose a point for that because you left it a little too open-ended. Now you got to make it a little supernaturally. Please don't do that. But I can see how maybe there's a way out, and I don't want to talk about it because Halloween 4 did it. And anybody who's seen Halloween 4 and Halloween 5, you probably know what I'm talking about with falling down the well and escaping out the sewers.
Yep, having that homeless guy take care of you for a year inexplicably.
Yep, then you wake up and then you kill him. So that could happen. Just
Or
saying.
was that between 4 and 5?
That was
Yeah.
between 4 and 5. 4, he gets shot to hell and falls down the well, gets all sealed up. At the beginning of 5, you find out he falls down the well. He goes out to the wash and like the little river and floats down the river till he finds the homeless guy who takes care of him
That's
for a
right.
whole year.
And the townies never think to like go down and search.
Yeah.
At all.
Now, if you're going to do a sequel to this movie, my thought is you got to follow it up like literally the day after. Do not try this 1 year later bullshit. Please don't do that.
Well, see,
So
that's
many
where
other
it
horror
goes
movies
into
have done that shit, and I'm not a fan of that. So,
well, that was one of the movies that they were again not ripping off, but homaging, nodding to was I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I was going to
And
say,
that-
like, do you
that-
have a favorite that they did or not?
Yeah, they most definitely hit I Know What You Did Last Summer. They hit Scream.
Yep.
They most certainly hit My Bloody Valentine.
Yes, they did. All versions of My Bloody Valentine, including the newer one.
Yeah, and it was all done very tastefully, very respectfully, very fun. Like he looks like the Valentine's Bluff killer, but
A little bit.
not in a mining outfit. But
Yeah,
just
with the
has
gas
that
mask.
sleek black. Yeah, has that sleek black look to him. Excuse me. It's
I like the
7 Up.
mask, though.
I did too. It was close enough to the Guy Fawkes mask, but not the
Tom
same.
Garber. Yep.
Tom Carver. Or John Carver. Yeah.
Or John
I thought
Garber,
it
yeah.
was-
You said Tom
God,
Savini earlier, so I have like Tom on my mind while we're talking about like the gore and stuff like that.
yeah, Savini be thy name. That'll make me
Savini
0
would
point in
approve of
general.
this movie.
Absolutely. Again, the practical effects for this were all top notch, and it's not sicko porn. Not sicko porn, like the torture porn that you'd see in Hostel, where it's like they're just being gross to be gross. Let's see how
Let's
gross
rip
we
out
can make it.
fingernails one by one, you know?
Yeah, no, this movie does get gross. There's a scene where we'll show it later on, but we'll talk about it now. They cook a woman alive and dress her like a turkey. And they cut it out in the final scene, but there is a take where like he had taken her clothes off and baked her naked and had stuffed her no parts with stuffing. And golly, they're gonna demonetize us.
Yeah, watch the language, Kevin.
If they had to cut it out of the theatrical edition, I'm sure they'd make us cut it out of fucking YouTube.
Probably. We get age restricted or something like that.
Yeah, like what are you nasty bitches into? Stuffing. Ugh.
Long rice stuffing? I don't know. Is it long enough?
Now you know he's a villain, so there was raisins in there.
Yep. And he probably definitely did a fruitcake too.
Yeah, because the dad's like, I'd still eat it. Ah, raisins! Ah!
Man, the dad was such a douchebag too. Oh. I'm opening up on Thanksgiving, but I'm gonna make all of my associates work, and I'm gonna stay home and just sit here and watch the security cameras, have a nice Thanksgiving dinner, and screw all my employees. They can do all the hard work there and potentially get killed.
Yeah, right. But again, if you're gonna have a douchebag of a character, who else are you gonna get better than Rick Hoffman?
That's
fucking
true.
love him. Love him.
Yeah, I loved seeing him too. Like he was well used in this movie, and a good setup to hey, the big bad store that's going to be open. And I like the cold opening because then they hit the credit after that. So and then 1 year later.
Yeah. I mean, granted, that cold opening was like 15 minutes long,
Right.
but you know, it was a good segment. It was a really good segment, to the point where I'm kind of like, the movie could have been about this and I would have been just as interested, because I'm sitting there like 10 minutes in, like, I thought this was a slasher flick, but this is pretty good.
I know, it's like we're starting off with like Dawn of the Dead or something outside of like freaking a Right Mart. And I'm like, Black Friday in 2022? Like, I really don't think anybody was that like nuts about Black Friday in that particular year. And it's actually been a few years since there's been really crazy stories about Black Friday. But that was about the only one thing that kind of threw me off of that. But other than that, I like enjoyed like all the aspects of the families coming to the store and everything going on with the kids. Hey, we're going into the store. Then they got the rival kids outside and they're teasing them, flipping them off back and forth. Then all of a sudden they
Fucking
all
townies.
storm the store. Yeah. You know, they're townies and screwing around. And then we learn about our waitress who ends up being a nut job too. And then they started killing everybody. The poor guy, poor employee trying to unlock the door and seeing the glass break. That was fucking epic. Like that was really cool seeing how they did that. But then he got squished, and then like the wife gets killed because she gets her head rammed by a couple of carts and it rips chunks of her head off. It's like, and then the
it
one
was
guy
so
going through the
gross.
door nips his neck, and he's gushing out blood trying to grab what was it, a
A
waffle
waffle
iron?
iron.
Waffle iron, like all this shit for a fucking waffle iron. I'm like, I do not remember when Black Friday was that crazy for at least 5 years or more. That puts it before the time of this movie, but it was so crazy. I'm like, I could totally buy this if it was set in a different year.
Yeah, this should have definitely taken place like 2005, because they
Dude,
started
like
changing things.
2012-ish, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like they started changing things after the Walmart employee was killed.
Yeah.
He was trampled and killed during a doorbuster, and like doorbusters used to be like my favorite thing to watch on Black Friday afternoon. Like the news footage of it was always pretty good, but then YouTube started getting really popular, and you were starting to see compilations of all like the worst behavior of humankind that you could possibly find during the holidays.
It was brutal, dude.
Yeah. And then this guy gets killed, unfortunately. And all of that stops. So they don't do doorbuster sales anymore. Now
No.
your Black Friday sale starts a week prior to Thanksgiving and then ends the week afterwards. So like sales.
Most people just go to Amazon now or online just to avoid all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you still get people going into stores to like
Right.
physically get their hands on shit, because people have to do that. That's just human nature. I have to have my hands on it. But
Got to get that $3 TV, that's like 60 inches and it's a name brand I've never heard of that sounds totally Chinese.
Oh, but
I gotta get it.
I so would have been that guy on the desk filming everything, like watching everybody.
The cash register. Yeah.
Yes. What a piece of shit he was. He really was a piece of shit.
He got his though.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a good
You
fun kill too.
want to go viral? You're going viral now.
You got to hit people over the head with it.
You want to be an influencer? You want to be a star on the internet? Well, here you go, buddy. At the other end of a meat tenderizer hammer.
That's right. Made from a waffle iron and a hammer.
Damn straight.
It was awesome. But yeah, I totally would have been filming that stuff, because I love watching human atrocity in that regard, to a point. Like what?
Watching live stream.
Watching the lady's hair get ripped off and die as a result from it, I was kind of like, okay, all right, time out, everyone. That part was fucked up. Yep. All right, go on. I'm good. I could breathe again. Woo! But that was close. I almost threw up my mouth a little.
Well, and then the sheriff comes in and he just started. I see him going for the gun. I'm like, oh, he's gonna start fucking shooting people. And no, it sounds like he actually just shoots at the ceiling just to calm everybody the hell down and get everybody's attention back on focus.
Yeah, but
While the husband of the girl is like over her crying and like having a complete meltdown.
yeah. And that was another one of those moments, like you were saying, where you kind of like you get a good hint at who the killer is, but it's also very reasonable that it's not him. But that is a sign that that's your killer right there.
Yeah. Now, everybody, time for spoilers. We're going to talk about the killer in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, Kevin, what'd you think about the sheriff being revealed as the killer, Mr. Patrick Dempsey? You're muted, Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what I was saying was, this the whole time I didn't think it, like he was just too nice of a guy. Like, you know, no one ever thinks it's going to be. I don't know.
Mike was cutting out a little bit, but we got most of that. But no, I
not
really
any
enjoyed.
time that I said.
Are you intentionally muting?
Yes.
You rat bastard! Fuck you! You're
Every
fired.
time I say.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of that, you dickweed.
Yes.
Bastard. I wasn't expecting you to do that. It's throwing me off. But no, I like the sheriff being revealed as the killer. Like, that was well done, and it shows that they actually get into a story where he actually had some military history. Because when he takes out like the Russian dad, I'm like, this would be a good opportunity for like a little bit of like Russian mob kind of thing. I know that sounds so like stereotypical, but that actually would have been kind of interesting for a killer to then have to mow through Russian mobsters and then also work his way to the daughter. And he shot him. It looked like tranq darts, but I think he was shooting him with something way more potent. But he was killing. He killed like one guy. He killed like the dad, and then he got the girl with the corn on the cob little pegs. And I'm like, that's pretty sick. And I got a kick out of it, and I really appreciated him being revealed as the killer. He just slipped up on one little detail, but he didn't seem to really care all that much, because it's like, well, bitch, you're in the office with me. There's nobody else here. I got you. So that worked for me.
His arrogance was his undoing.
His arrogance was undoing. He wasn't terribly arrogant, but he missed flicking off those little burrs on his shoe. So I would have liked it if he had actually gone back to the house and killed the rest of the people and then tracked her down, though.
Yeah, he was just really set on having his plan. He wanted to fulfill his plan, and I dig that. He was pretty cool. And there were signs with the shooting. As soon as he shot the sheriff or the deputy, I knew this was not going to be your typical slasher. This was no longer your typical slasher movie. Slashers don't use guns. They
pretty much
they use blunt or sharp protruding objects that they could shove into you repeatedly. And now we've got one that's using a quick and quiet ends to a means to get to his target. I'm just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. You've not seen that in a movie before of any kind.
Right. I mean, I've seen it a little bit in like Terrifier, so it didn't take me completely by surprise. But when Art does it, he does it when he's like utterly disappointed in the person. Like, you're not playing with me anymore. You're not dying the way I would like you to. You're not having fun with me anymore. And then he pulls out a gun. He's got this utter distasteful look on his face, like, you fucker, you ruined everything. And then he just starts shooting. But that happens so infrequently in the Terrifier movies that when it does happen, it's like, dude, you just disappointed Art. Like, oh my god. So there's a certain comical nature to it. In this, it's like deadly serious. So I'm like, oh damn, he's actually shooting people. It's not really a slasher movie if he's not stabbing people with stuff, but we got plenty of stabbings going on, and including some very fantastic death scenes. You got a favorite death scene, Kevin?
The garrote was pretty good. That was probably the only part where they went CG, but it was okay. It didn't look horrible. I don't know. The stuff.
I was going to say the dumpster kill.
The dumpster kill was pretty goddamn good. The dumpster, the getting stuck to the freezer door was pretty epic. I liked that. That was right.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah, that reminded me. That whole scene right there reminded me again, homage, not a ripoff, of both The Blob and Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes,
the scenes that they had in the diner and the freezer, really cool. I liked it. So her death was satisfying because she was a cunt too. Like, I just could not wait for her to fucking die. The actress was really good.
Yeah, she was a good bitch. And at first I'm like, how do you get killed by a dumpster? And then I realized, because I replayed the scene a couple of times, I'm like, oh, the lid on that is metal too. Oh,
yep.
Shit.
Yep.
The only other part beyond that I was kind of curious about was like, how the hell did he get her ass even a half torso all the way up to the top of a building onto the Right Mart sign and lowered it down? I was like, that's when I started wondering, maybe there's going to be more than one killer involved. But if it's just him, it's like, shit, how the fuck did you get that up there?
I don't know, but he sat her on top of the star like a Christmas tree star up the ass.
Pretty much. She got
so good. But yeah, otherwise I think my favorite kill is probably stuffing the pooter in the hole with the turkey stuffing. That's probably just the most fucked up thing I've seen this year.
Oh my god.
Because I heard the voice in my head as I'm looking at the Google picture going, but would you eat it?
We're going to clip that for our potential clips in the future.
But would you eat it?
But would you eat it? I don't know, Kevin. Anything else about the good? Or do you want to head on over to the bad?
I say let's head on over to the bad, but I'm going to omit the raisins out of what I just said. Just eat it.
A little too nutty.
If the pussy's hot, eat it, unless there's raisins.
Christian Bale said in American Psycho, "That's a pussy. Don't stare at it. Eat it.
Eat it." So, the bad.
Oh, Ryan
and Bobby. Can we not just like get past the fact that these two guys were gay for one another and that Lizzie or whatever her name was just Ryan's beard at this point? Like,
that's what I honestly wondered at one point with these two, was like, is this a Wild Thing homage here? Where in the very end, it's two gay guys who are getting their vengeance on everybody else.
Yeah, like I really thought this was going the way of Scary Movie with like Ray and
or that, yeah.
Like, yeah, the other guy becoming a gay couple because the other guy is not getting enough pussy, and he's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll take the dick.
Yeah. God, that's what I thought was going on with this movie, and that's not what happened. Well, and Bobby, God, was it him being gone for like a year and coming back? I'm like, oh, here we go with My Bloody Valentine. He's probably the killer. But then you see the killer, and I was like, no, the killer's taller than him. It ain't him. So, and Ryan,
Apparently,
he looked like he could have played the part, but it was more McCarty that I was thinking would be the actual killer if it wasn't the sheriff. Those are my guesses when I was watching the movie.
apparently the actor that they had in the Carver outfit was never Patrick Dempsey, and it was never the same person. They had multiple people playing him.
That's what it seemed
but
like
it was
to
never.
me. I'm like, the body shape keeps changing. So
Yeah, they were trying to throw people off, and that was another one of the red herrings. And golly, that worked. Like, and what a simple idea! Like, who's never ever done that before? Let's just not put that person in the costume.
yeah,
Not until we have to.
right. And we don't get that. We still don't even quite get that until the very end. A little bit.
Yeah, you don't get it at all. I don't think.
No, and as a matter of fact, with the parade, he was in a completely different outfit entirely. He's in a creepy killer clown from outer space kind of outfit.
And that was fucking cool. Like, that was
That was
random.
rad.
I don't know where that clown had come from. I hadn't
Yeah.
seen it previously, but just the turning around and lopping off the turkey's head just fucking made whoa. Okay.
Well, in the original Grindhouse trailer from like years ago, in the middle of like Death Proof and Planet Terror, originally it's just a guy in a pilgrim outfit who did it. No mask, just the hat and like the pilgrim outfit. And in this one, I was like, no, this dude's straight up in a freaking killer clown outfit and just shoop, boop, there goes the head, and all of a sudden, World War Z is happening.
He's throwing around smoke bombs and
Shock grenades,
fucking all sorts of flashbangs. You're like, oh goddamn, you just loot that off in their car. Okay, you're all deaf now forever.
I'm like, dear Lord, this is like epic warfare is what's going on here. I'm like, this escalated quickly.
Yeah, and this is small town America, so everyone is getting the fuck away.
Right. But then after that little parade scene and most of our main cast gets captured and kidnapped, then we go on and into a scene where somebody's getting ready to get thrown in an oven. Kevin's favorite scene of the whole movie. He wanted to see somebody get stuffed.
Smoke up her ass. You know, okay, here's my conundrum because we're in the bad now. This scene where the wicked stepmother wakes up and she's being prepared. She's being basted with butter and salt and
garnished with
between her toes.
Yeah,
like very sickly being attended to. And she wakes up. And there's like this 10 minute scene where she's trying to hide from the Carver.
Yep.
And she gets out of the basement and she's trying to escape this room and she's trying to figure out where she's at.
Yes.
And there's this long moment where he's chasing her even up into the upstairs room, and he's got her thinking that she's going to get away, and she runs out the door. She's free for like half a second, and he javelins a fucking pitchfork at her.
That was fucking rad, dude. Man, I felt like that was the whole purpose of that sequence, was for him to hit somebody with a pitchfork. And this is where I'm going to get into my idea of the bad. We didn't need any of that.
Correct.
At all. Like, the movie is an hour and 46 minutes. This should have been an hour and a half movie. It would have been a lot tighter, and it would have been, I think, more impactful. I would have cut from when he kidnapped him to just after this scene. You lop out like this 5, 7 minute, 10-minute sequence here, and when you get to the dinner table is when you reveal she's been cooked in an oven and everything. That way you save, like, hey, where's my stepmom? Where's the Wicked Witch of the... Oh, shit. She's the Wicked Witch, and she got thrown into an oven. Hansel and Gretel got back to the witch.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been more impactful. And so I feel like there's multiple random scenes here and there that could have been clipped out. the cheerleader. I don't think we needed to see her in the trampoline scene. Yet at the same time, the trampoline scene was pretty rad. So for the purposes of showing some unique and fun kills, I get it. But we didn't need like the minutes of build up to that if we were already familiar with the characters and how evil or snotty they were. We could have just gotten straight to they're dead.
The trampoline scene was obligatory because
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was in the old trailers.
Yes.
So they had to redo that. They did it differently.
Yeah. Which I didn't mind. I did like it.
Yeah, it just made more sense the way that they worked it the first time, which she's coming down doing the splits and he jams his sword up her vulva.
He penetrated her.
Yeah, and it makes more sense, but this was fucked. This was mean. It also makes you go because the way they rework it is she lands on her foot and he stabs her in this foot and then stabs her in that foot and then stabs her in the hand. It's like,
all right,
god damn, okay, that's owie each time. But Lordy, the getting stabbed in the privates, the naked privates that's
never a fun thing. Yowie zowie.
It tain't funny.
It tain't funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I said it. 5 points from Gryffindor. I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry. But what do you think about the ending, Kevin? I feel like the ending was good. It could have been better though. I didn't really like the whole we couldn't find the remains, and then they clue in on some of the firemen while they're wearing their helmets and their complete outfits as they're walking away. And I'm thinking, if he was a military man, he got out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that didn't seem like that big of an explosion that he couldn't get away.
That's true. Like, I don't know what they were using. It must have been hydrogen, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming that as well. That makes like no sense.
Yeah, which hydrogen, for those of you at home, get yourself a
lessons with Kevin.
Get yourself a Pyrex beaker. Put some water in it. It's got to be Pyrex. Do not try this with anything that's not Pyrex. It will break. You will burn yourself. You will get a scar or die. And put crystal Drano in it. Cannot be liquid. It has to be crystal Drano. Get it all mixed. Make it a saturated solution. And then get yourself a rolled up piece of tin foil. And put the tin foil into that Bunsen beaker. And it's going to start to dissolve very fast. And before it does that, what you're going to want to do is get yourself a prophylactic. And when I say prophylactic, I mean a rubber. One of the things that you put on the end of your old fella, your John Thomas, your penis. You don't use a regular balloon because those are porous. Remember, condoms are non-porous. They're supposed to be, so your little fellas can't get out. Anyway, you put that on top of the Bunsen beaker, and it's going to fill up with gas. And once that's done filling up with gas, you tie it off, and you could tape that to the end of, say, like a yardstick. Make it something big. You've got yourself a balloon filled with hydrogen. And you can light that with pretty much anything you want. Just, again, it's going to cause a little fireball. And once that fireball burns off, which is a blink of an eye, it causes a little tiny water drop. So yes, science.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Fuck you. I grew up on a farm. I was bored. I had nothing to play with but produce and fertilizer.
Kinky.
What were you going to be when you grew up?
Podcaster.
Podcaster. Yeah, I mean.
So anyway, the moral of that story is hydrogen blows up and it burns. That was not a whole lot of hydrogen that it was going to blow him across the fucking room. And unless it impaled him on something, probably was not going to kill him.
Or incinerate his
body
and bones.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, hydrogen burns really fast.
Yeah. That's where I had a problem with the ending a little bit. So it's like, Are you trying to just kind of stick it with the homages with, hey, we didn't find a body, everything's fine, but it's really not. I mean, we really didn't get like any sort of like tease about anything other than, Jessica having a nightmare that he was still around there because he tackles her while he's on fire in a dream. And there's not even a true post-credit sequence. There is one, but it's basically an outtake from the movie. It's not really an actual post-credit scene specifically. So you don't really get the clear-cut idea that anything's wrong. You just get her and Ryan, and I had a bad dream. So it's a bit disappointing. I thought there'd be a little more to it than that, or you could have gone with it kind of a different ending. That would have been fine. You could have killed him and insinuated something else goes on for a sequel, or just a completely different town. Could do the anthology style idea that Halloween tried to do years ago. There's a few different ways you could go.
Yeah. I don't know. I was pretty satisfied with it. It
I was too.
Me.
I'm nitpicking with this. I just want to make that clear.
The only thing with the ending that really disappointed me was Ryan. That was, I don't want to say lazy writing, but it was lazy writing. The sheriff says, you guys go to your homes and I don't want to see either one of you until. Okay. Ryan listened. He stayed home. Like that, he stayed home. Rationally, that works out. That's not bad writing. It's just the fact that he shows up at the end right after Bobby, who has part of this adventure, who apparently didn't decide to stay home, gets to be the patsy of the whole scenario, which is
Mr.
pretty
Baseball.
Funny. Yeah. Golden arm. Which I gotta say, his fucking hand getting broken was fucking classic. I loved it.
That was brilliant. I loved it.
It was brutal looking. His scream was fantastic. The irony was fantastic. I just,
chef's kiss.
Yeah. But anyway, the saying goodbye to your ex-boyfriend after this wonderful adventure we've just had. See you next summer or whenever I come back into town, which will be soon because I still love you.
Because Christmas is coming too.
Yeah. And then the next thing you see, she's in bed with Ryan.
Yep.
Like, Ryan, do you know that you have Bobby's HPV?
You do now.
Ah, you dumb son of a bitch.
She was playing both of them.
Anyway, that was the only part of the movie that I was just kind of like, okay, this is stupid. Like, it is legitimately stupid. The rest of it, I love this movie. I'm going to go get it on Blu-ray. I like it. It's not one of those movies where I'm kind of like, it's good enough. I'll get it on DVD and call it good. No, I want to see it pristinely. I want to see the extra special features. This was a cool flick.
Yeah, I'm going to probably order the Blu-ray as well. Now, there is a 4K out there for everybody, but it's like $35 on Amazon. It's way overpriced. I like the movie. I wouldn't pay more than maybe $20 for this movie, but currently on Amazon, it's Amazon Prime Black Friday week. The Blu-ray is $14.99. So you can get it there, or you can probably pick it up just about anywhere because most stores like, say, Walmart are going to be stocking these movies right now because tis the season.
Black Friday, winkety wink, wink, wink.
Could have been worse. We could have been watching Thanksgiving, Kevin.
That was my suggestion for the year we have next year, of course.
I thought you were going to say we should watch Bruce Campbell's Black Friday, but I'm like, I haven't seen that movie and I haven't heard it's very good. So
we could do that. We could do Poultrygeist. There's a whole other there's a slew of films.
Blood Rage. That's not cranberry sauce.
Spider-Man.
We did Dutch last year in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So, that was a couple years ago, actually.
Yeah, we got the doozies out of the way fast.
Yeah, and then there's always Addams Family Values. That'd be an alright Thanksgiving movie.
Eat me. Sorry.
All right, Kevin, throw up the judgment and let's score this bad boy.
All right, babies. What do we got here?
Nice.
We're not getting demonetized, but I got my picture.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, right. I liked this. This was a glorious setup. You said the bad for you was the movie was an hour and 46 minutes long, and it only needed to be 90 minutes.
Yep. That's my biggest complaint.
There's a fair amount of truth to that, and like we said, a good 10 minutes out of that scene with Kate. Anyway,
Evil stepmom.
Yeah, evil stepmom. With her waking up and trying to escape, for as fun as that scene was, it wasn't necessary. We could have seen her being glazed. We could have seen her waking up inside the oven and then being jabbed with the thermometer. That's all we needed.
It would have been okay too.
Yeah, like it would have gotten the waking up and trying to escape was totally cool, but it didn't mesh with the flow of the movie. I don't know. That just I 0 pointed myself on that again during the judgment of all things. This was great. In spite of that, like I was still good with the 90 or the hour and 46 minutes. This was a longer flick. When you told me initially it was an hour and 46 minutes, I was like, wow, so they actually gave you something to chew on. And I know we're using a bunch of puns in this episode, but they do give you a lot of storytelling to chew on in this movie. It's not just jump scares. It's not the studio going, okay, entertain the audience for 80 minutes. Let's make $1 million out of 80,000. It's not like that at all. Like they really swung for the fences with this. They really tried hard, and it shows, and it paid off. This is going to be a cult classic. I just want to say that now, calling it now.
I think so too. What would you score this out of 10 turkeys?
10 turkeys. I'm giving this an 8.5, 8.5 to 9.
That's fair.
What did they give it here? They gave it a 6.2 on IMDb.
Is that IMDb?
6.
Oh my god.
Yep. Golly, that's unfair. Like we've seen a lot worse get rated a lot higher. This is a really fun flick. It's a really gross flick, but as far as like holiday themed horror movies go, this might be the best one you get. Like, because it's an homage to all the rest, this might be the best. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at Criticless. I do recommend the Criticless app for everybody, or criticless.com. It's another movie review site. It's kind of competition for like Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd. Highly recommend everybody go there. It's a fun, easy to use website for checking out movie reviews and throwing up your own. Super easy, and it's free. They have Thanksgiving rated at 72% with 43 votes. That's considered rad on their scale. And I would pretty much agree with that. I would actually go a little bit higher. I would give this about an 8 out of a 10, largely because the promise of this movie from like years ago from a fake trailer, great idea. Nobody had really done a slasher movie at Thanksgiving that wasn't like something from Trauma or anything like that. And this is probably the best movie they've made out of that. I mean, I'm still waiting on my Nicolas Cage SS Werewolves from Hell or whatever it was called. I mean, I'm still waiting for that one. I will absolutely love that. But, this movie had a lot to live up to for expectations from a 2-minute trailer that people thought, that looks really cool. Let's do that. And it took a few years to get it done. Took a little while to get it made. However, it did get made, and it turned out to be pretty damn fun. My issues largely stem with the runtime. There was just some unnecessary scenes in here that didn't need to be there. And you cut the movie down, and it goes from being a pretty damn fun, good movie to this is amazing. And I do believe a good solid edit, like another pass through, could have helped this movie. Doesn't mean it would be better. I just think it would. I think it would be a better movie for being a little bit tighter and leaving a little more room for imagination for people to wonder, hey, what happened to that person? Hey, we haven't seen that person for like nearly the whole movie, and now they show up here. And, you know, we've talked about a few other scenes that could have been tightened up, could have cut a little bit of this out, a little bit of that out. I think 95 minutes would have been the sweet spot. However, I'm just nitpicking because for the most part, love the kill scenes in this movie. Acting is pretty good. It's smartly written. And I love Patrick Dempsey as the main villain. Plays out very smartly. And I don't know. I think this is actually a pretty damn well directed movie from Eli Roth. And Eli, I think this is one of your better movies. And I'm not a big fan of most of your movies. I love you as a historian. You love film, love hearing you on podcasts. Talked about that earlier. But for this movie, you have a gem with this one. And I'm going to put this in my collection. My score is going to be an 8.
That's a dope score. And, you know, we can't, I still think we can't call him the Bear Jew no more. Not in good conscience.
Glorious Bastards.
I really think Fodor is probably taller than him.
I think Fodor is taller than about everybody I know.
Except for maybe Jonah. And maybe even then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd like to see a picture of all of them together. And then like a picture of like Eli Roth and then Fodor. Then we could say who our Bear Jew is.
Escalating scales of height.
If it goes on a scale of niceness, Fodor gets it for sure.
Oh my God. Well, that being said, got any final thoughts, Kevin, before we say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you for making me watch this. This is so cool. I'm gonna go get this again on Blu-ray. My daughter's
for a first time watch, this turned out pretty good for once. So
yeah, like there's really nothing to make fun of.
No. Well, you're welcome, Kevin, and thank you for watching it. And hey, thank you everybody for tuning in to checking out Eli Roth's Thanksgiving review. With the guys at 0 Point Reviews, we talk about the good, the bad, and the judgment. And we enjoyed watching this movie. So everybody, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Happy Turkey Day. And we will see you all on the next one. And let's say goodbye to everybody. Bye and happy Turkey Day.
Did you notice anything about it?
He was dressed as a pilgrim. And he had a John Carter mask on.
Someone's out for revenge, and they're turning it into a sick holiday game.
Our names are at the table. These seats are for us.
Thanksgiving, rated R.